The day the playground froze, Ben was a cheerful boy with big brown eyes and fast feet. He loved running, jumping, and climbing. His favorite place in the whole school was the playground. Every recess, Ben was the first to run outside. He loved to play tag, football, and hide and seek. He was full of energy, and his friends loved playing with him because he made every game fun. Around Ben's neck hung a shiny silver whistle. It wasn't just any whistle. His teacher gave it to him during a school fun day. Ben had helped organize games for everyone, and the teacher said, "Ben, you are a great leader. Take this whistle. Use it to bring joy." Ben smiled big that day. He wore the whistle every day after that. When Ben blew the whistle, it made a clear, happy sound. Tweet! And all the kids would come running. They knew it was time for fun. Ben believed that playtime was a kind of magic. When we play together, he said, we all feel happy. Even the clouds seem to smile. Sometimes, Ben would help the younger kids who didn't know the rules. He would bend down and explain the game gently. He made sure everyone felt welcome. The playground was where Ben felt free. It was his happy place, full of laughter, games, and friendship. But one chilly morning, something very strange was about to happen on the playground. Something that even Ben, with his magic whistle, had never seen before. It was a cold morning. Ben zipped up his jacket and ran outside with his friends. Recess had just started. He was ready to play tag. He held his shiny silver whistle and smiled. The playground was waiting, but something was wrong. The swing was hanging in the air like someone had jumped, but no one was on it. The merry-go-round wasn't moving. It looked like it had stopped in the middle of a fast spin. Ben looked around. "That's strange," he said. His friends were frozen. One boy had his hand up to throw a ball. A girl had one foot off the ground, smiling in mid-jump. But none of them moved. Not even a blink. Ben's eyes got big. "Hello?" he called. No one answered. He ran to his best friend, Tim. "Tim?" Ben waved a hand in front of Tim's face. Nothing. Tim didn't move. Ben took a deep breath and blew his whistle. Tweet! Still, nothing happened. The air felt extra cold now. Ben's breath came out like little clouds. His fingers felt chilly. "This is very, very strange," Ben whispered. He walked slowly around the playground. Everyone was frozen like statues. The ball was in the air. A scarf was floating. Even the leaves had stopped falling from the trees. It was like time had frozen. Ben hugged his whistle. He didn't know what to do, but he knew he had to try something. "Maybe the whistle isn't broken," he said to himself. "Maybe I just have to use it the right way." He looked at the whistle again. It was glowing. Just a little. A soft silver glow. Ben's eyes lit up. Maybe the whistle is magic. He stood still and listened. The playground was quiet. Too quiet. Then, very softly, he heard a hum. A low, tiny sound coming from the whistle itself. Ben held it up. "If this is magic," he said, "I'll find out how to use it." And with that, he took a step forward, ready to solve the mystery of the frozen playground. Ben walked slowly to the frozen slide. Everything was still. The air felt colder than usual. He looked at the slide, and that's when he heard it. "Fix the fun, unlock the freeze." Ben's eyes grew wide. "Who said that?" he asked quietly. There was no one around. The children were all still frozen. Even the leaves on the trees weren't moving. Then, he looked down at his whistle. It was glowing. A soft silver light came from it, like a tiny moon. Ben held it in his hand. "Is this magic?" he whispered. He remembered what the voice said. "Fix the fun. Unlock the freeze." Maybe the playground froze because something was broken. Maybe the fun was lost. Maybe the whistle had the power to bring it back. Ben took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "I'll try to fix it." He walked past the swing, still stuck in midair. He touched the chain gently. It didn't move. Then he walked to the merry-go-round. He tried to turn it, but it was hard like a rock. He looked around for clues. That's when he saw a small sign by the sandbox. It had a picture of the whistle and some words. "Blow 3 times near the heart of play." Ben nodded. He didn't know what the heart of play meant, but he thought for a moment. Then he ran to the middle of the playground right where all the paths met. There was a circle of stones there. Ben stood on the middle stone, held the whistle to his lips, and blew once. Toot. He blew again. Toot. He blew a 3rd time. Toot! The air shimmered. A soft wind blew. The frozen slide creaked. The merry-go-round groaned. The swings swayed. Then slowly all the kids began to move again. Ben gasped. It worked! The playground was waking up. The freeze was melting. Ben smiled. I'm going to save recess. Ben looked all around the playground. He saw some strange things. The hopscotch squares were glowing with bright numbers. Each square had a different number shining softly. He stepped closer to the sandbox. There, in the sand, someone had carved words, "Fun must be fair." Ben read the words again. He thought about what they might mean. Near the wall, he saw a small chalkboard. On it was written, "Kindness keeps it spinning." The words looked fresh, like someone had just written them. Ben sat down on the bench. He rubbed his chin and thought hard. Maybe this is a test, he said to himself. Maybe I have to solve these clues to fix the playground. He looked at the glowing numbers in the hopscotch. They were not in order. He counted them one by one. 3, 6, 9, 12. They seemed to go up by 3. That was a pattern. Ben stood up and smiled. Patterns are like puzzles, he said. I have to find the right order to make things work. He looked back at the sandbox message. Fun must be fair. Ben thought about what fairness meant. Maybe everyone needs a turn to play. Maybe I have to be kind and share. He walked to the chalkboard again. The words, "Kindness keeps it spinning," made him feel warm. If I'm kind, maybe the playground will start to move again. Ben took a deep breath. I will try kindness first, he said. He decided to find his friends and help them play together nicely. He knew it was not just about fun, but about being fair and kind to others. The playground was waiting for him to solve the test. Ben felt ready. He held his whistle tight and smiled. Let's fix the playground together. Ben stood tall and looked around the frozen playground. He held his shiny whistle in his hand. It glowed softly. He remembered the message. Kindness keeps it spinning. He nodded. Okay, he whispered. I'll try being kind. He walked over to his friend Josh. Josh was frozen with one shoe untied. Ben bent down and tied the shoelace. As soon as he finished, the whistle glowed a little brighter and Josh moved again. Whoa! Josh blinked. What happened? No time to explain, Ben said with a smile. Just be kind. Next, Ben saw Emma sitting on the bench, frozen with her lunchbox in her lap. He opened his bag and took out a cookie. I was saving this, he said, but you can have it. He placed the cookie in her hand. The whistle glowed brighter again. Emma blinked and moved her head. What's going on? She asked. Kindness, Ben said. It's fixing everything. Then he ran to the field. A football was stuck in mid-air. It floated just above the ground. Ben reached up and gently pulled it down. It felt heavy, like ice. But as soon as he touched it and placed it back in the goal box, the air felt warm again. The whistle shined even brighter. Little by little, the frozen playground started to wake up. The swings began to move. The merry-go-round started to turn slowly. Kids who had been still like statues were now stretching and looking around in surprise. Ben looked at his whistle. It was glowing like the sun. He smiled. It's working, he said. He kept moving, helping more classmates. He picked up a dropped backpack. He gave a frozen friend a high five. Each kind act made the whistle shine. The playground was almost back to normal. Ben realized something very special. The whistle wasn't magic by itself. It was his kind heart that made it powerful. He looked around. Laughter was starting to return. The playground was coming back to life. And it all started with kindness. Ben looked around the playground. Everything was back to normal except one thing: the seesaw. It stood in the middle of the play area, completely frozen. One side was up, the other down. No one was on it. No one could move it. Ben walked slowly to the seesaw. He placed his hand on the cold metal. It didn't shake. It didn't move. It didn't even make a sound. He sat on one side. It didn't go down. Ben looked around. "Is anyone there?" he called. His voice echoed across the playground. Everyone else had started moving and playing again. Kids were laughing, running, swinging, and climbing, but no one came to the seesaw. Ben sat quietly for a moment. Then he remembered the clues, the ones that talked about kindness and fairness. He looked at the empty seat across from him and smiled. Then he stood up and shouted, "Does anyone want to play with me?" At first, no one answered. Then, from behind the slide, a boy stepped forward. It was a classmate Ben didn't know very well. The boy always played alone. He walked up slowly. "Can I join you?" he asked. Ben nodded with a big smile. "Yes, please do." The boy sat down on the other end of the seesaw. Just then, the whistle around Ben's neck glowed the brightest it ever had. It let out a high, clear sound like a bird singing in the morning. The seesaw moved up and down, slowly at first, then smooth and steady. All at once, the last freeze melted away. The wind picked up, the sun warmed the playground, and laughter filled the air. Ben and the boy laughed together as they went up and down. The playground was alive again. Ben looked at his whistle and whispered, "Thank you." It didn't glow now. It didn't need to. The real magic had already happened because of one small act of kindness. Everyone cheers. The swings move, kids laugh, the sun peeks through the clouds. Ben's whistle glows one last time and turns into a little gold star. He tucks it in his pocket. From that day on, Ben remembers, play isn't just about fun. It's about sharing, caring, and making room for everyone. Moral lesson: real playtime magic happens when we include others, show kindness, and lead with care. Call to action you follow for more magical schoolyard adventures. Subscribe for stories that make every playground a wonderland.